Welcome back to the Society Sucks podcast.
Yes, guys. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year,
We're
guys.
6 days in. No, we're 5 days into the new year, 2023.
2023.
And we have a message to relay to you guys.
Oh, fuck, man.
You ready for it?
Yes.
All right. So, if you waited till 2023 to start your resolutions, you already fucked up. You're exactly the kind of person that's like everyone else, that follows a crowd, that needs a new start, a new calendar, a Monday to begin on your goals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that ain't it. Sometimes. But just know that if you're part of the majority, your odds of success in any of those areas is already minimal. Because the majority doesn't really do much with what they need to do.
Holy controversy.
So that's controversy. But challenge me on that, Yeah, it's good that you at least do it and that you at least start on it. So that's good, Pat yourself on the back.
Yep.
But just pray to your God that you don't become the same person you were last year a month later.
Damn.
Because I bet you by February, if you let all this stuff go, it's not because you lack, the want for it or the desire for it. It's just that you need a crowd to follow. You need someone else to do it. Because everyone waits for the new year. So, I'll wait for the new year too. Everyone waits for that Monday. You do too. You need some kind of external motivation to get you there. And that's not what's going to get you there. It's doing it despite not wanting to. But yeah, that's a little controversial. Obviously, this is a very general thing. It's not everyone. I know there's people out there who are gonna do stuff with this, but that's just from what I've seen.
No, I definitely do think some of it has truth for sure, and I think it's good. Right? I'll play devil's advocate.
Please do,
and then we'll see what you think about that.
Okay.
So the person's like, I'm starting on it now, and some would say that's still better than nothing, right? What would you say to that person?
It is better than nothing. And hopefully, messages like this, they're clickbaity. They're very intentionally rude to get some kind of reaction or response from the listener.
No way.
But now that seed's been planted in your mind, there's some kind of reverse psychology that's going there. It's like if you tell someone, hey, don't push that button, they're like, I kind of want to push that button now.
Yeah.
So if I tell you, oh, you're going to be just like the rest of the people who are going to end up not doing it, something's like, wait, no, I don't want to prove that dude right. Why would I want to just, give up on something a month later?
Exactly.
So it kind of does that, if I'm being honest. But at the end of the day, I mean, I do believe there's some truth to that too. Because, we shouldn't just come up with resolutions because society tells us that, the new year means new resolutions. You come up with a new goal resolution every month, every week, something you want to strive for. If you want to gain or lose 2 pounds every week, that's something you can come up with, this week, not on a Monday, not at the beginning of the year, not at the beginning of the month. It's something you can do right now.
That's good. You know what? That actually brings up a conversation where it's more of a paradigm shifting one where instead of saying, start of the week, start of the month, start of the year, as an opportunity to want to, introduce change into your life. See each day, it could be, and even each hour, hey, I got this idea, I'm going to start doing it. You could do that at any moment, guys. So I think it's more of you're right, it's a societal thing where it's just like, new year, everyone's celebrating, now it's time to focus and, get things how they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, you could be doing that at any moment. It could be random Wednesday,
That's true.
At 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Who said Monday, 7 a.m. Now it's time. You can change at any moment, guys. So it doesn't have to be limited to the first of anything, even though I do kind of think that does help with keeping people accountable.
That's true.
Because it's like, okay, well, if you start in the beginning, you would want to do the whole thing, right? But, who the fuck even says that either way?
That's true.
Like, if it's a 30-day thing, okay, who says you have to do it at the beginning of the month? It could be a 30-day, you just start in mid-month, and it ends mid-month next month. Like, nothing's wrong with that either, guys. Like, don't just put it off because you're like, it's just not the right time right now.
Yes. And I love that you said that because, this societal advice with dates, it's just very okay, if you take two people, the person that depends on dates versus the person that just takes action the moment something's in front of them, who do you think is going to win? The guy that waits for like a first even number, good to start with, like you said, maybe holds him accountable. That guy relies on a number, on something, that's made up and made by society, and the other guy's just like, no, there's something that arises, there's something I see I don't like, I'm not going to wait to change this, if I can do something about it now.
Exactly.
So I think that's also like a like the major difference between these two people. One, which obviously both people can succeed, but I believe one person does have a higher chance than the other because one has a factor that's already like chained to him. This guy waits to do things until the time feels right, and the other guy does things when he knows they need to be done.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that's a major difference. And I think that's why the conversation is leading towards changing that, seeing that differently and realizing that it's not necessary. So why do it? And I think the main thing is like, okay, we're all aiming for a goal to change, right? If it's changing in whatever aspect of, commitments you set yourself, your goal is to want to be different, right? Move differently. Yeah. So, to allow that, you should want to do that at any moment, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You shouldn't be like a dictator of an outside thing. You should be the one to dictate that for yourself.
Yeah, like an example too of something that we did thanks to you was we did a cold plunge yesterday. Yeah. We got in there. Imagine if we would have said, "Hey man, next Monday let's start doing this." It's like, you said randomly called me up, said, "Hey, let's come do this. I'm gonna give you a test, yes or no."
It was a challenge.
It was a challenge. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. Why do I have to wait till the time's right? I wasn't feeling like it. And just the thought of it was kind of like, whoa, right now though? Like, really?
Yeah.
But then I was just like, fuck it, and that's the thing too, guys. Realize that there's nothing special with the kind of people who actually go out there and do these things. Realize that it's just that one person has built up discipline within themselves to do that stuff anyway.
Yep.
Like, I didn't want to do the cold plunge.
Sure.
I don't want to work out these days, but if you train your mind to embrace the difficulties and to do those things anyway, your chances of succeeding are much higher when you like chase an endeavor, when you're working towards something. If you can do the things that you don't want to do, you're so much more likely to do the things that you do want to do with your life, and actually follow through with those things. And that's why I believe that, things like working out, sticking to some kind of exercise regimen, regardless of what that is, working up a sweat, raising up that heartbeat, and doing that consistently shows, your body reflects the results. So it's like one of the simplest things, I won't say easy, but it's one of the simplest things that you can do to go in and start to build up that discipline.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up too. It's, what do you think though? It could be like, is it like new things, or is it's not like things that we're aiming to be different. It's, you're trying to change who you are as a person, right? Would you say that's the line between, someone being committed to a certain thing versus someone just doing a certain thing?
Yeah, no, okay. When it comes to commitment, right? Committing to a certain thing or some kind of goal that you have for the year, your why has to be strong. Like, you really have to strengthen that why. And that's why we see a lot of issues with today's society, how everyone is just okay with being subpar, being okay with, being comfortable and lazy, and don't tell people what to do. Embrace your current body despite you feeling insecure and not liking it,
and despite it being unhealthy for you.
That's the main part. They don't discuss, you want to be there for your children, you want to be there for these people. It's all very selfish, because you're not being selfless when you choose to only think about yourself and what makes you feel good, because you need to be there for other people. You want to be there for your children, you want to be there to spread a good image of things. And so, when you don't strengthen your whys, you don't have commitment. Why would you commit to something if you don't have a good reason of doing it? So if you don't have a good reason to do something, you don't do those things. And so that's why it goes back to, this whole thing that's going on with what's that even called? Like body image, right? That's one thing.
Yeah.
With people being very, very sensitive and insecure and shutting out information rather than listening to both sides. It's just, once you've been brought up on one side, you bring it up. Even conservatives, you hear them being like the stronger of the two, right? Left wings are sensitive, and then conservatives are like more, traditional, and but both of them are honestly sensitive. Both of them are very, because they both get triggered by
things
each other.
That trigger them.
They're both slaves to each other, and you bring up one thing and they both panic and attack. So it's like, both these things, when you shut out this information, when you can't even listen to it, when you don't do the things they need to do, when people are telling you that the way you are is okay because you're surrounded by the same people, you don't have these whys. That's why people don't commit to things. But if you'd rather be in the state of, let me be honest with myself. Let me look at myself in the mirror. Okay, what can I change? How can I be more comfortable? How can I be healthier? How can I be, more fit? What goals do I need to set? I don't want to be the last one on a hike anymore with all my friends, heaving and puffing and
That's
catch my
true
breath.
too. Yeah.
I want to do something to change that because I want to be able to go out more. I want to be able to walk without pain. I want to be able to improve my mobility.
Very true.
Do all these things. You build up that why because you're finally being honest with yourself, and you said enough is enough. And so you build that resolution within yourself to say this needs to change. Because for the first time, you're actually being honest with yourself, and you're doing like an actual self-awareness check. And I think that's where it starts, and that's how you start to build commitment.
I think you're very right when you say that. And one point too that I want to hit on that you mentioned is, people that say, okay, new year, now it's time, now I'm gonna change. Okay, well, it's good, right? We're glad that you're doing that. We'll still clap for you.
Yeah, you're done.
But it's also, are you going to be doing that throughout the whole year? Right? Versus how we mentioned, okay, to start off, and then you're getting into it.
Yeah.
Versus like deciding I'm going to be a different person versus I'm just gonna do something that is different. And emphasizing that, like you're saying, the commitment side of it. That's how you start to develop it. Finding out your why. What's the reasoning? What's the purpose behind anything? Right? You ask yourself, why am I even doing anything in this life? It all starts from a why. All starts, how can I improve? Moving up from there, and then I think it's about figuring out exactly what you're willing to commit to, right? Based on that video too that Harvey showed me before this. This man, he had like his resolutions, right?
Yeah.
And he's emphasizing, moving out, find love, this and that, but he just talks about how, this is shit, it's nothing. What actually is whether you're gonna commit to it, be committed to whatever it is that will actually change you as a person.
Yeah, and it's like we always say, it's what you're doing here is you're forming an identity, rather than just chasing after things. Like it's who you become in the process of doing these things. So when you work out, you're not just working out. Like there's the person who just they want to work out because all their friends are working out, everyone's doing it, everyone's signing up for things. It's like, oh, okay, well I need to get in on this. I don't want to be left out. And then you have the person that wants to build the identity of an athlete. They want to do something else. They want to be a runner. They want to be something. They want to be a professional in something. And the point is, they have an identity. I want to be fit. Now it's not just like I'm working out, but I want to be the person who's fit. I want to be the person who's an athlete. And so when you have that identity, everything you do until you reach that are votes for that. Like, okay, if I work out 4 or 5 days a week, you're casting votes for that. But the moment you stop, the moment you lack, the moment you eat unhealthy foods, the moment you make bad decisions, you're voting for the opposite now, and you don't get there. And so I think that's the difference. Is you got to ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? Is the best version of me, would they do what I'm about to do? And always ask yourself that step of the way. And so you'll notice that when you start doing this, you're forming a new habit. You're forming a new, almost like something new in your biology. And what I've realized from that for me was that, despite me still not working out, like almost like 2 years later now, despite me thinking it's like just the most boring thing ever and it's pointless and it's just I have to get it out of the way. Regardless of that, I still realize that if I were to even think about not going, I instantly feel my body like say like, no, you gotta go anyway. I feel awful. Like literally dopamine just goes down. My mental, state goes down. My body feels just lethargic and lazy and low energy. So it does something to you where you're like, why am I even thinking of skipping? And then I've noticed that like when it hits like a certain time, if it's like an hour, 2 hours after when I was supposed to work out and I didn't, and I still didn't, I like my energy levels are low, everything's low, my appetite's low, and it just changes. So it's literally like a biology thing
for sure.
And so I've noticed that difference within myself. So it's like I still need to go and do this because my why is stronger than my temporary emotions that I'm feeling right now. Because I know that I want to hit a certain goal, and I'm gonna hit that certain goal. And me casting that vote for laziness, saying I'd rather be lazy now, is not going to do that. And then plus, it's not going to get me any closer to that. It gets me further. And that's forming a new habit, the kind of person that doesn't show up when they need to.
Well, you bring up something that I actually watched this video specifically on. He was talking about like ego and then super ego and then the id. And he kind of ties in towards the end, his own concept of what it is. Because it is all concepts, but, it's psychology based on, your way of being, your psyche. So he likes to break this down into like unconscious versus conscious thoughts, right? Your higher self, right, quote unquote. Very like woo this, but it's not really that though, right? It's your psyche. So he talks about how your unconscious is that person in your head that's like wants that self, instant gratification. Like, oh, I'd rather just sleep here. Oh, just delay it. Oh, just enjoy it. Oh, take it easy today.
Oh man.
Because it's unconscious. That's your innate human that just wants to have sex, just wants to eat, just wants to sleep. All pleasure, versus your conscious or higher self, quote unquote, is the person that is there too, that thinks logically, thinks in long terms, doesn't think in instant gratification, and is able to actualize, okay, if I do this, it will long term pay off, but in the moment it will suck. And I think that's a different relationship that you need to develop and know. It's part of knowing like us as human beings, what we are and how we move. And when he explained that, he uses this really good analogy. I might butcher it a little bit, but hopefully you can understand this. He talks about how horses, so it's like a carriage, right? There's a horse, the carriage, and then there's the person that is riding it, and then there's a father in there. So the horse is your ego that wants that instant gratification, right? You kind of how to hold them, you got to take care of them, you got to make sure you're the person in there. You're the carriage, right? The carriage is like kind of leading them. You got to be, hey, whoa, don't do that. Oh, I want to just go take a nap and forget about all my responsibilities. Oh, get back on the lane you're supposed to be. Right. And then in there is like the father, right? He calls it father. So it's basically like your conscious, like, hey, he's trying to tell you, go this way. Oh, this is the best way to go. Do this way. Like, basically trying to make sure that you can make the best decision without having to compromise, or basically emphasizing your higher self instead of the bad. But it goes into so much more detail.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but I think I'm basically just trying to emphasize, like, I guess it's psychology and it's your psyche. We have a tendency to think like this as humans, and you aren't wrong in a certain way of thinking, but you do have a responsibility to whether you indulge in indulgence in gratification, like that's instant and pleasure, versus, hey, I'm gonna be like thinking about my future. I'm gonna think logically, like, is this the best decision I can make now or not?
Yep. I think that is what it boils down to, because there's so much we could leave with y'all in terms of what we're doing and what we want to do. Like there's a lot.
Yeah.
But it really does come down to realizing that it's not your goals. It's not you setting something too big or too small or somewhat mediocre in the middle. It's realizing that whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you can do, and it takes commitment, and it takes living in the not pleasure and instant gratification, doing whatever is comfortable. It's choosing whatever's the most difficult at that moment. So for me, that first battle is won when I actually show up to the gym, get out of there within the hour and a half, and that's it. Okay, I won the first battle of the day. Everything else should be a nice breeze, or at least I'm more capable of handling things that arise throughout the day, because the part that I despise of the most is finally gone. And then now after that, I've won that. I've shown myself that I'm capable of doing that. And so that builds trust within myself. For one, I can show up and do the things I say that I'm going to do. And two, I it's manufactured adversity. I chose to do something hard that I didn't have to do, and I still did it anyway. So for the rest of the things throughout the day, it's like it's carrying that momentum throughout the rest of your day. Because I think with the New Year's resolution people, which yes, it's good to do that. It's better than not doing it. But for those people, it's like you see things in the scope of 1 year, not realizing that your year is one in months, your months are one in weeks, and your weeks are one in days. So it literally boils down to your day and how you choose to start off your day and what you do. And by doing that, by winning these battles, by choosing to do the harder things, you're gonna get to where you want to be. And I think it really is like a formula. There's a science to this out there.
There definitely is.
I can't really quote anything as of now. Nothing comes to mind, but I know there's a science to trusting yourself again, to knowing that you're not the kind of guy that backs down, kind of girl that backs down from things and just gives up and lets things go and chooses the instant gratification part.
The easier route, that's what people say, right? The whatever is whatever takes the least effort to get what you want, right? And at a certain point that can become detrimental. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what the emphasizing on that is, right? Because if you were to indulge in just instant pleasure consistently, always,
Mm-hmm.
it can start to become a problem.
Yeah.
So you have a responsibility to be able to dictate that, but also to decide, hey, today I have a choice whether, I want to relax, be leisure, and be fine with present me. Present me, he's going to get whatever he wants today because he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Or so he thinks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could be the type of person be like, 20 year from me now, and it's part to do with ego because, you never really know.
Mm-hmm.
But 20 year from me now, he wouldn't be doing this. He is about this and about this and about this, whatever higher self you see yourself as, whatever narrative you think of in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's the person that you always want to be. So I'm going to choose to see my life from his point of view instead
Mm-hmm.
of the person that I am now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. On top of that too, because I'm trying to think of like exercises as we
Yeah,
talk,
see
like
that
things.
I guess it would be an exercise
Yeah, no,
too.
that for sure is like seeing things from that perspective. Because if you don't, you can get too lost in the present because you're just giving yourself what's comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the body wants. But you don't. People don't tend to accomplish great things or their goals when they choose that route.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is.
Oh my gosh, you
Dang.
scared me.
Look at that, just
Oh,
walked
just
all over
chilling
you.
here. It's alright.
But yeah, so there's that. Like
Caught me by surprise. Go ahead.
she'll be walking around here every now
She's
and
just
then.
chilling right now.
But
Go ahead.
so there's this thing too when you don't achieve a goal, right? When you
Mhm.
don't achieve something or you make a mistake or you fall out of it. What I've heard when it comes to something like this is that if you really want that goal, you won't allow a second slip up. You won't allow something. You won't allow yourself to fall back off track because then that's votes for the opposite habit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I think James Clear says this in his book Atomic Habits. You never miss twice. If you told yourself you're showing up consistently to something or having breakfast every day, and you skip once, he says missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is already the habit. It's a new habit that's forming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like once you have that momentum going, do it because you'll be so glad that you did it anyways. Like I'm always glad after I get out of the gym. It's never before, it's never during, it's always after.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's mainly the main thing I look forward to is the feeling of accomplishment that I get after I get right back out of that.
See, I think that's what it is too. Like because you're delaying, the gratification, right? Like you have to go into the gym, get there. Now you have to move weight. Now you have to move weight. Now you have to put your body through shit, right? Some people enjoy it, some people don't. Obviously your body is taking damage, so it's probably not the most comfortable thing either way. But then after you're like, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're trying to emphasize, guys. There's things that that you could be doing right now that, in the moment might seem very difficult, very hard, but you got to it and you did whatever it was. And after, the feeling you're gonna feel about whatever it is, hopefully good, it's just gonna drive you to also want to feel that again, right? So maybe it's not the activity, but how you feel after, like
That's
you're saying.
true. That's the same thing with like the cold plunge thing.
Yeah.
Like going towards it, right, and then actually in it sucked, right? Just the anticipation of it actually being there was awful. But then you get out. And then you appreciate it that you did it. It's amazing. It's euphoric. It's like this is what we were meant to do. These are the basics. Keep your body active, expose yourself to certain types of adversities, get sunlight, eat right, drink lots of water. Like these are the fundamentals for good mental health. And unfortunately, what's going on today, and I've seen this, with a lot of close people, is that people will just tell you that it's okay. They'll try and baby you, not realizing that they're keeping like. I think you gave me this example actually. It's like scientists had this one experiment, right, where they basically tried to grow an indoor tree, something like that, and it grew up until it reached a certain height, and then it just collapsed. It died. They couldn't figure out what was going on or why it was doing that.
They made the perfect biosphere for it.
The perfect biosphere. That's what it was. The perfect biosphere, right?
Yeah, right.
And when you have everything perfect and nice and cozy and all this stuff, you will collapse under your
Mhm.
own weight because
Mhm.
you have not built what's necessary to withstand
Oh,
your ground. You don't have roots in
goosebumps, guys. Let's
anything.
get it. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, right. Because you don't have your roots set in anything.
Oh,
And
fuck.
what they discovered was that there was no rainy days, there was
Yeah.
no storms, there
Yeah.
was no blowing winds,
Mhm.
there was no cold and hot temperatures.
Yeah.
So I guess in their minds they didn't build the perfect biosphere because what we call chaotic and what we see in storms and windy days and all this stuff that seems unperfect and so like what the fuck is going on out there?
Yep.
It's actually so necessary for life to thrive because through these, what they realize is that with this tree, its bark was super thin and brittle. It had barely any roots to reach in. It didn't want to grow. It just wanted to stay comfy, and it just it grew semi perfectly.
Yeah.
It grew. It did its job. It had the right nutrients and soil. It had plenty of sunlight, right, and it had plenty of water. And they assumed that by getting these three things right and perfect, that the tree would be perfect. Not realizing that tree, they just fucked up its life. It died and it collapsed. And then you have the trees that are out here that maybe there's days, weeks, months without rain. So what it's forced to do is it grows more roots to expand to cover more area to make sure it gets it. So it strengthens itself. When there's wind and storms and other trees hitting against it and doing all that, grows thicker bark to protect it. And so it starts to get all these things that they couldn't replicate in the biosphere. And that's why adversity is necessary for all forms of life. And as humans, we're meant to put ourselves through adversity. Even now, when we're in such comfortable times, you see what happens. I mean, look at the mental health epidemic that's going on. Look at the obesity and heart disease rates. Heart disease is, I think, our number one killer. No, it's dropped down to our number two killer, but suicide rates, I think, has gone.
No way, number one.
I think so.
Whoa, that's a problem, guys. And I think right now, I think one thing that you're hitting on is super good. It's adversity. We can manufacture. Sometimes life tends to throw adversity at you. And you can't really dictate how, you handle that, right? Or you can actually. You can actually dictate how you decide to handle that. Okay? But that's something that you didn't choose to put on yourself. So now that's a showing of, okay, who you are, what you're capable of. Maybe it tore you down and now it's your building up time. Maybe it built you up and now you're continuously going up, But, maybe times where life seems to be good. Everything's okay. No, external adversities coming out. That's fine and all, but at a certain point too, you need to show yourself, you need to tell yourself, hey, shit's not always easy, and you even know that from maybe life experience. Yeah. So if you know that, you can do that for yourself, right? You're kind of setting a bar of what you can handle. Now you're increasing it. You're putting in work at the gym, you're going to classes to learn, you're going cold, you're going sauna, you're doing these things that are difficult, but you're allowing yourself to get deeper roots. You're allowing yourself to build stronger bark. You're showing whatever life can throw at you, you're able to handle yourself and stand your ground, right? That foundation.
And that you've got resilience too to put up with these things. And that's the main part too, which by the way I searched it up. Yeah, in no order, it's heart disease and suicide are the leading causes of death.
Whoa.
Among people aged 25 to 44.
So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with, mental health. I definitely do believe, adversity could cause it, but you can define yourself and switch it. I'm going to put myself through shit in order to try to counteract, these negative feelings that I feel, these negative emotions, right? The thing is, these basic things like getting good sleep, drinking water, getting sun, exercising, right? Basic, everyone says it, but they're so important.
They're so important.
And like they could have the capabilities of reducing, mental health issues that you have.
And I believe it because this is like the basis for humanity. And it sucks when even the professionals, rather than addressing the fundamentals, the foundation of life first, they prescribe you some pills. They prescribe you things. So, let's get those chemicals back up. Or some people, they're that isn't necessary because the alternative, God forbid, suicide, the alternative is worse, So in between, it's either, ending your life versus, getting a prescription. Yeah, obviously the prescription. But it sucks that the shortcut, it has become the norm in terms of prescription. Like that's the awful part. But they don't tell you in combination with these things that this stuff should be done first and foremost. You need to have a circle that supports these things because everyone says, "Oh, it's okay to let's go drink our problems away. Oh, it's okay to let's go party. It's okay to do all these things that are now norm because all y'all are doing is distracting yourself from your real problems."
Yeah,
and you're not They don't tell you like, hey, let's go get. If your friends aren't telling you, hey, let's go get in a workout, hey, we need to work out. Hey, let's haven't seen you been, on your whatever it is they said they've been doing. You haven't drinking their water, haven't been doing this. Those are real friends because they have an actual concern for you. They actually care about you. They want you to do better, and they're holding you accountable to what it is you're saying. Because no one wants to just hear a friend complaining, not doing anything.
Yeah.
If you're that person, they're not a real friend.
Definitely not.
You want to actually challenge each other, but of course nowadays no one wants tension. Everyone wants everything smooth, free, or bump free, and everything smooth, and everything nice and dandy. And then no, this is what leads to this. This is what leads to these issues that we see everywhere, is because no one's holding each other accountable. No one, unfortunately, has like a good support group, and you got to be willing to find these people that will hold you accountable and want the best for you, so that both of y'all can tackle these things on together. Because sometimes we don't want to work out. Sometimes we don't want to get our water intake up. Sometimes we don't want to exercise or get sunlight or any of these things, or take nature hikes or get out of our comfort zones. But it's always good to have that friend that does push you to say, you know what, let's do it anyway. Despite us not feeling like it, because it's easier to do it. It's easier to do it then. Mm-hmm. And, we want to focus on surrounding ourselves with those people rather than the other people that just tell us everything's okay. Oh, yeah, no, everything's fine.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're doing good.
You're doing good.
Even though you're not. The thing is, like, you might tell yourself, and, I think a part has to do with realizing that people can deceive you, so you can deceive yourself.
Yeah.
You can say, oh, I'm good and I'm okay and everything's all good. But, at a certain point, you realize. You might know. You might just be lying to yourself. It's a deceiving factor, too. Mm-hmm. And I think that has a huge part to do with having those friends. But also, it starts to develop, love, confidence.
Oh, man.
A very well person of being, how you are in this world. You can develop yourself, to feel those feelings about yourself, right? If you lack confidence, what is the root of lacking confidence? What can I do differently that adds some adversity to make me feel more confident? Mm-hmm. There are ways that we can counteract these, horrible statistics that are happening.
Yeah.
Daily life, I'm sure, we've seen on social media, local people, what suicide can do to families, themselves.
It's very destructive, and it's a huge ripple in a community, and something that's awful that happens. But this is when it's community's turn to stop with the stuff that hasn't been working, which is telling everyone that everything's fine, which is ignoring the issues instead of confronting them. That's and actually, going through and doing these things that are necessary. I'll say for one thing too from just working out and jiu-jitsu is that working out really gets that ball rolling. It's one of the simplest things you can do is just start showing up.
Definitely.
And those results will come if you stay consistent. And, you start showing up, and like you said, the confidence comes. It starts to trickle in. Now it's not an unfounded confidence. Now you're actually basing it off of something. You know that you have the discipline. You know that you can do these things. You start to look better. You start to, do other things that you don't feel like doing, and you still do them. So the way you do the small things is the way you do other things.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you've developed a little bit of confidence, whereas back then it might have just been lashing insecurities. You say things, you do things out of insecurity, out of fear and desperation, rather than trusting your own capabilities. So for the first time, when I started doing that, I was like, dang, I'm capable of making a change, because like I said, that's one of the few things that you can actually see a physical change.
That's
because when it comes to getting your finances up, you can see numbers and stuff like that, but it's very intangible. It's not, you can't really feel that as much. It's not visible. And but with your body though, it literally transfers from here to here or here, in your body. And so that's why I feel like that's one of the foundations is getting this looking right, feeling right, doing the things that you want it to do and that it's capable of doing, and then going from there. So for me, that's the direct feeling that I've gotten from gaining those 30 pounds to from working out, from eating right, from doing these things, and then into jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu too, yeah.
Also builds a sense of confidence, of a sense of security within yourself that you can at least handle a little bit better than you were before.
Yeah.
Because again, pre-jiu-jitsu, pre any martial arts, you think you can, right?
You think you can.
And you act like the tough guy. And we see this in videos and street fights and things like that.
You've seen it, guys.
Everyone's seen this, where the guy who does the talking and the screaming and the lashing out and has all these anger issues always builds up a storm. And
he thinks like he's a tough guy,
He thinks he's a tough guy. But then you see someone who's actually trained and knows how to do it. You don't see any of those same actions because they know they have confidence within themselves. They don't need to demonstrate it through all these loud things.
Exactly.
You know?
Oh my,
That's the difference. You know, that's what it builds. It's like pre-MMA, it's unfounded confidence. There's no proof of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But post it, you're proving it to yourself every day you show up and train that there is something there. Now you're not as angry. You're not this angry little man that's out there screaming and yelling at everybody. You don't get triggered as easily. You don't get as offended, you know, because it builds discipline and character within yourself.
Exactly. See, I think that's huge to emphasize too, and hitting on specifically, you know, the analogy of a person that's screaming, you know, angry, this and that, cussing, saying this, versus the guy, you know, imagine he's doing that to the guy that's trained, you know, he's been training, you know, he has training on him, whether it be striking or, you know, any type of martial art, basically, right? He knows I'm putting in work, I'm putting in hours, I'm putting in time, whatever, mats, hitting the bags, you know, if it comes down to it, I know what I'm capable of. So, you know, he could literally have a person right here screaming to their face, you know, anything. And, you know, I guess there's a line too, obviously, if he starts putting his hands on him, then it becomes different. But if he's just saying this, you know, the guy's just like,
he doesn't have to stoop down. He doesn't have to stoop down.
He doesn't have to, because he knows where he's at mentally. He knows where he's at, you know, skill wise, because he built that. He, you know, he built that confidence. He built that discipline. Yeah. And I think we're basically emphasizing too that you can do that too. And you don't, okay, well, it's not martial arts, so, you know, it's not this, you know, maybe it could just be simply just breaking a sweat each day, you know, that can build your confidence. Hey, I worked out and I, you know, one sweat dropped on the floor and I feel amazing, you know, that's confidence. You're giving yourself a good thing, like pat yourself on the fucking back for that.
Exactly.
Because that's more than someone that's just like, hey, okay, you know, I'm just gonna decide to chill here and not do anything and you know, not be diligent and have idle hands, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's about, because one person can justify their laziness all they want, you know, and say things like maybe work got in the way or they don't have time, and you know, they rid themselves of all these things. Or some people just straight up don't see the point in doing any of the things that we just mentioned. They're like, I'm just trying to chill. Like, why do I need to be doing all that? I don't want to be on that hustle, grind, toxic culture. But you don't realize that something feels off within yourself. You know, so you always know that you can be better than the person you are now. You can be more empathetic, more patient, more kind, and all these physical things that we mentioned isn't just for the physical vanity of it, you know, of ego, of showing that you can fight someone, or of looking better. You know, it's also that what you do physically also does something to you back mentally, like we just mentioned. You know, now you're not as angry. Now you have more patience because you've disciplined yourself.
That's good. Keep going, please. That's a good point to hit on.
Yeah, and same thing with the other stuff. So like, you know, there can be more of this, and to claim that, oh, well, you know, I'm just an easygoing person, you know, I'm not any of these things, you know, it's like, you can still be better than the person you are now, and that's the point. You know, wherever you're at, you can still be better than where you are now. And to say that all the stuff that we mentioned is pointless, and maybe you don't want to do it, maybe you don't want to tackle these things, you're not really someone that's like physical, you know, or whatever, it's like, that's the ego speaking, because you're saying that you're already, you know, you already got things handled, you're already good where you're at, you don't need to improve, you know everything there is to know already. And you're not, you know, and even we're the ones that giving the advice. We're on the opposite end of this. We're still applying these things. We still fail every now and then, but we get back up and we try and show up consistently, because that's what matters, because we want these qualities of a good human being. We want the qualities of someone that someone else can rely on. You know, we want the quality of someone that can provide, that's dependable, that's trustworthy, that's honest. And no offense, but the person that's at home and doesn't do these things, doesn't prove themselves to that every day, it reflects in their character, and that's not the kind of person that is all those qualities.
Exactly, and I think that's a huge point that you emphasize. It's not just physical vanity, you know, it translates to the way you move, the way you talk to your spouse, the way you talk to, you know, your family, the way you are in public with people. You know, you tend to become more compassionate, more caring, more, you know, wanting to listen to what others have to say. You know, so if you want to get rid of all that physical aspect of it and really emphasize what it can do for you as an overall person, you know, you should see that and weigh the benefits of that too. You know, but it's obviously tough, and I think that's what we're also emphasizing. Like, you know, it's easy some days. You know, some days you might be like looking forward to it. You know, you're motivated, and then there's some days where it's just like, fuck, why do I have to do this? And I think that's where you draw that line. You know, that's where you're like, okay, but this is the type of person that I want to be. This is the type of person that is emotionally stable, that is feeling good within themselves, would. Either way.
Exactly. And on top of that, what we're trying to say as well is that your reason for not doing something or not following through with your goals or whatever it is you want to do shouldn't be because something's tough. Because the tough is necessary and it builds character and
It's necessary.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
It really is necessary. And
Going
we
back to
see
the
how it's
trees,
necessary.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, going back to the statistics. It's
Even
so
statistics,
necessary.
too.
Heart disease, literally, bodily, what you
Bodily,
ingest, the
yeah.
gluttony, the laziness, the sugars, the fats, all this stuff, constantly junk. We see it in the form of physical health. Heart disease is a preventable disease. It's preventable, and yet it's one of our number one killers. Suicide, the mental aspect. Is that not ironic? You literally have the two leading causes of death, and one's physical and one's mental.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
funnily enough, they both intertwine,
They
kind of like
intertwine.
this. They help each other out.
Yeah.
So, and it's up to us. So it's absolutely necessary to do something different.
Equal, but not the same.
Yeah, equal, not the same. It's equally necessary to do something different. Because what we've been doing, what society's been doing, what it's been telling you hasn't been working because these numbers keep going up.
See, and I think that's true too, guys. So, I guess some people are like, oh, it's not my fault, it's the government or this and that. Okay, at a certain point you could say that, but at a certain point, that's not, an argument anymore.
No, it's
okay,
not.
you could say that, okay, now that let's try to change something about that. Okay, but I've always heard that eating healthy was expensive. Okay, do some research. Is it really that
Yeah.
expensive? Or was it because, your uncle said that one time at a barbecue and
Yeah.
you just took in as truth?
Yeah,
right?
you've just been telling yourself that over and over again.
Yeah,
I wish
it's
I could, but it's pricey.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about, I think a lot of it has to do with shifting how you see things,
Yeah.
shifting that paradigm, at a point, I thought a certain thing was okay and then it became not okay.
Yeah.
And imagine the millions of other things that you in your own life could see for yourself. Like, okay, at a point I thought this was okay.
Mhm.
Now growing up, I'm like, why did I ever do that? You
Exactly.
can ask yourself in these moments. That's where you did something different. And
Yeah.
you could do that still.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're emphasizing. Right?
Yeah, because it comes from self-questioning, self-awareness, and then finding, and then educating yourself afterwards.
Educating.
Like you said, you start to question it. Wait, why have I always done this? Why am I this way towards people? Why do I have this negative effect or whatever it is? And then you're like, okay, well, I don't want that. Let me educate myself on what I can do instead.
Yeah.
Because there's always that person out there that says, yeah, man, government's trying to kill us. It's society's fault. It's capitalism. It's the economy. It's things like that. And they're always pointing fingers. And these people, unfortunately, as right as they may seem in their own head, they're delusional because they never take self-accountability. You have the person that blames, hey, man, well, the part where I live, there's fast food restaurants all around me, man. They're trying to get us fat and kill us. It's like, what do you think they're funded by?
Mm-hmm.
Your dollar is your vote for more of that. And you're not willing to change that. You're not willing to take accountability and spend that money where you want it to be spent. Because you're voting for these things. And it's like,
For
oh,
sure.
well, like maybe I can't afford the drive. I can't afford an extra 20-minute drive to go to like a place, a grocery store, and get groceries. It's like, you can if you saw where your money was going. The same people that say this don't budget, don't even know where their dollars are going.
Man.
I guarantee you, it can always be traced to something. Because wherever you think you are, someone's been in a worse position and still made it out of whatever you want to call it, made out of the hood, made it out of poverty, rags to riches stories, whatever it is, kind of story you look up to, a success story. Someone's been in a worse position and still made it work out.
That's so true. Goosebumps again, man.
It's
true. No, it's true. And the thing is, I mean, it kind of puts into perspective too, right? Puts into perspective, like, oh, there's a person in a worse situation than me, and they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
At a point, it's so surprising, right?
Yeah, at that point, it's like, what's the main difference then? It's their mindset. There's nothing special about these people. Is that one chooses victimhood and blaming the system, and one holds accountability and says, I need to make it out of here no matter what. I need to do something with my life no matter what.
I think that's true. You have to, it goes back to, for me, I think I see it as a sense of responsibility, right? You have a decision to be diligent in your work, right? You can be diligent, you can do whatever you need to, or you could, slack off too, right? And I think that's where you have to be the one to say, today I'm going to be diligent. Today, even though it's a little more difficult, that's what I'm going to do. But what do you think, Harvey? Overall, what should we leave them with? Maybe some practical advice for the new year.
Well, I asked the AI here for some New Year advice. So let's end this on a positive note, right?
Let's go. Come on, guys. You got this either way. Don't beat yourself up too much.
Exactly, yeah. And what I said about the beginning, too, yes, I still do believe with it. Maybe I could have worded it better. But like I said, it hopefully gets you thinking, don't prove me right. And I do this to you, Netson, too. I was like, don't let me be right about, this one more thing that you got to give up on. It's like, no, pull through with it because you're doing it for yourself at the end of the day. You're not doing it for me or for anyone else.
Yeah.
You're doing it for yourself because you're going to give yourself a pat on the back. You're going to appreciate the fact that you went through with the hustle, the hard work, whatever was required to get there.
Oh,
and that's the main part, you know, because like we said in the earlier example, you know, one person is increasing their chances of success while the other is so dependent on a new year, new month, new week, when that's not it. You know, that's not it.
And plus, who said that was, right? Time construct, guys. Another society construct.
Yeah,
who
right there.
the
Boxing
fuck
you
said?
in. Like, stop.
Who the fuck?
Stop with
keep
that.
going. Go ahead.
Okay. No, well, yeah. I mean, that's about it. But
Let's
yeah,
see what the AI has to say, though.
Yeah, okay. So I asked it, give me some New Year advice, AI. Number 1, set realistic goals. Take the time to think about what you want to achieve this year and make sure that your goals are achievable and specific. So first of all, I'm going to disagree with this AI. What even is realistic?
What is realistic too? Yeah, that's true.
I've heard realistic is actually defined by
Please go ahead.
This analogy is called smarts or smart, which is let me tell you all this right here. I think y'all are gonna like this.
No, this is gonna be really good, guys. So you have to give us some patience.
Yeah, give me some patience here. Which is another thing I need to work on.
Okay. We all do. We all.
Yeah, no,
do.
that was actually one of my goals. Okay,
that's a good one.
Anyway, so when you're setting goals, you got to ask yourself, if there was no limit to what you could do, be, buy, or become, what would you do in the next, whatever time limit you set? If you could not fail, what would you do? Do not try to be realistic and do not set SMART goals, which is SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or time-based goals.
Ooh.
So when
it's literally saying not to do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Because when you don't do this, you open up so many gateways. Because what's realistic to you in your current situation? If what's realistic is what you've been doing in your current situation, what is that? That's just if you keep doing the things you've been doing, you're not going to get different results. In order to get something different, you need to do something different. Mm-hmm. So to set realistic goals, it's like, oh, well, my current trajectory and based on where I'm at, I should be able to do that. Realistic is BS. I don't agree with that. I really don't. Maybe some people want to confine and settle, and maybe that is truly what they want. Fine. But for the people out there who know they have something better, who want to do something more with their lives, don't be setting these lame-ass realistic goals. It diminishes your character. You're denying your own potential right from the start by setting a realistic goal. Yeah. Set something that you truly want by getting rid of specific, measurable, achievable, realistic time-based goals.
Because you're right. Actually, and when you say that, it actually already starts off with, oh, I can't do that. It's not realistic, or I can't do this. You're already limiting yourself on your way of even thinking about your goals.
Yeah, because who said it wasn't? I bet you it's been done before. You can do it too.
Exactly.
You really can. So, sorry, AI. I disagree with that.
That's a good one.
Next
That's
one,
funny. That's a whole good one.
The second New Year advice that the AI has for us is make time for yourself. Make sure to take time for yourself and do the things that make you happy. So despite us talking about doing the things that make us suffer, obviously have things that make you happy too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, we're not saying have a miserable life, guys.
No, you can there's balance. You need both. A tree enjoys the sunlight, blooms and produces fruit, all the nice beautiful things, but it also has to put up with the shitty storm and weather sometimes, the cold brittle winters and the blazing hot summers.
Yeah.
And there's balance there. And it resides somewhere in the middle because it's got its root. It relies on itself. It's proven that it's put up with that shit before. It can handle the next coming winter again.
Yeah.
And you want to be the same way. So, do the things that make you happy. I still play on my Nintendo Switch to end off the day. Me and Brianna, we watch fucking Hulu. So it's like, you need balance with everything else you're doing,
I agree with that. And that makes sense, though. The thing is, I think it's also at a point, too. I think Joe Rogan emphasized this a lot. He considers himself a very disciplined person, right? He's always on whatever he needs to. But when he does have a day off, he says he can relax the fuck out of it. Because he's like, all the time that I do have work or am doing work, I'm on it. Yeah. And I have to because I get to, and, discipline, right?
Yeah.
Versus, today's an off day. He can, take that.
Exactly.
And fully indulge in the chilling
aspect man, because then it feels earned. It feels truly earned. And that's what I love about that. Even this little journal thing is making me do, for everything that you're striving for and you're working on. Okay, so it's like goal. How do I get there? And then the reward. It emphasizes the reward side because you need to reward yourself after you do that. To tell yourself it's okay to keep doing what I'm doing despite how much suffering is involved in this one aspect or how much discomfort. There's a reward at the end of this, And so you need to literally reward yourself and do these things. And I do believe in that balance and to, pamper yourself, take care of yourself so that you can go back at it the next day even harder. So Third one.
Third
Third
one.
advice for the new year. Don't be afraid to take risks. Taking risks can lead to new opportunities and experiences.
I think that's true too. I think cold plunge is probably the example.
Yeah, that's a good one right there for sure. 4, be kind to yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself if you don't achieve a goal or make a mistake. I agree with that. It's not the end of the world. Maybe you set a time-based goal that you want to do something within a month and you don't reach it. And then you're like, fuck, am I even worth it? It's not over with. And it's not that
guys.
You only failed if you didn't learn something from that. That's the way I see it. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, so if you didn't achieve it, you did something wrong. Chess teaches us that.
Yeah.
If you didn't win a match or if you stalemated, it's because you did something wrong somewhere along the way. You can't blame it on the other person. You can't blame it on circumstance. It was your own mistake. You blundered somewhere. You made a mistake.
Exactly.
So yeah, and making a mistake isn't bad. Don't take that as a negative thing. You're getting free feedback.
Yeah, exactly. That's what people want, right? We talk about this too, specifically for Washweb, right? You want people, you want clients, you want their feedback, you want their reviews. Yeah. Hey, where can I improve? Hey, what was the experience like?
Yeah,
exactly. So this is instead of seeing it like you're saying as a failure. Oh, I failed. I didn't hit exactly what I said I was in the month. Okay, but did you take away more than you lost? Yeah. Did you gain new knowledge that you didn't have before? Yes. Well, there you go. Pat yourself on the back for that one. But obviously, keep going.
Yeah, there you go. Because they call them I forget, but you get value from it, right? You gain value in some sense, even if you didn't accomplish the goal or hit the number that you wanted to hit at the end of the month or hit whatever. You learn along the way. You learn about what you can do and improve on. Companies pay millions, billions of dollars to learn what they're doing wrong. People pay mentors and coaches, hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn what they're doing wrong, to get some kind of feedback, because no one's giving them damn feedback. So if you can even put in a little bit of that into looking back and getting feedback on your things and seeing where it is you messed up, do that. Do that because it's a learning lesson.
Definitely.
Number 5 from the AI, celebrate your successes. Take the time to recognize and celebrate the successes you have achieved.
I agree with that, man.
Definitely agree with that. You need to look back sometimes and be like, dang, that was good.
Yeah, no, celebrate it too. Like, hey, I did good fucking shit now. High five. Pat yourself on the back. Jump with joy.
Yeah, do all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Go have a pool day when it gets warmer.
For sure.
Number 6, work on improving yourself. Start small and take steps to improve yourself this year. Yes.
Yeah.
7, stay organized. Make sure to stay organized and plan ahead to make sure you are on track with the goals you set for yourself. Yeah, organization, that deserves an episode of its own.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of time management has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, we've talked about the example of clearing out the old furniture for the new furniture. You can't stack everything on top of each other. It'll all crumble down.
That's so true.
That's a super big mistake. Okay, hold on. That's something, I don't know if this episode's getting too long, but that's something too that I see that I used to do too that's just so BS-y. You talk about starting a new year, being a new you. Mm-hmm. Then you wake up with a hangover on the new year. Man. All that drinking, all that stuff. You really think you're going to change within that one day? Okay, now I'm ready. When you literally started the day before, intoxicating yourself, filling yourself with liquid poison, doing all these things. Man. Again, balance with that, right? I'll have a few sips of wine. That's cool. Yeah, but when you overindulge in these things in pleasure,
that's where it becomes a problem.
And then you fuck up your next day because if you feel all hungover.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. How bad do you really want that? You're not on track. You're not planning for the new year. You're just in like, oh well, look at all these people, look at all these drinks. You know what that means?
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
For the moment.
And then you're just proving to yourself again that you don't have discipline.
And I think that's why there's a limit though too, right? We say overindulging. We say too much of something is always bad.
Yeah.
So figure out that balance, guys. If your body's literally forcing itself to have to vomit, you probably passed the line somewhere.
Super past the line right there. I mean, come on, our body, our liver can only take care of so much before you keep messing that thing up.
I also want to make sure that we emphasize this. It's not that we're shitting on anyone because I've been there. I've been the guy that's throwing up, that's fucking up, and it's just like, what am I doing? You know? And then I ask myself, like, why? Why the fuck would I want to feel like this? The day before, day after, you never know where it leads to. Not feeling the best, guys. Like, we're not just saying this to shit on you for whatever you're doing.
We've both done this repetitively over and over again. And it still took us like 6, 7, 8, 9, however many years or whatever to finally get something across our head.
Exactly.
To say something needs to change. And I like that that's what came right after your situation. It was like, why am I doing this? It always starts with self-analysis, self-awareness. Do you really want to be that?
Yeah.
You know?
No.
Like, learn what your values are. Like, actually ask yourself, am I doing this for me? Like, do I actually want to do this to myself, or did I do it because everyone around me was?
Oh, man. Liquid confidence, so I'll give you that, guys. But no.
Yeah.
The thing is.
Okay,
I'll say this, though.
Tell them that.
It does do that.
It does.
But just know that you do not need that for confidence, guys.
Mm-mm.
You have unlimited confidence within yourself. So one day, go out to a party, don't drink, and see how your experience is. If you feel awkward and shy, and you're like, oh, fuck, shaking your fucking boots.
Oh, man.
You need to fucking do something. You need to change something. Man. That's already a sign that you need to change something,
That's
guys.
true.
If you can't go up and talk to this person because, you didn't have that fucking 5 shots.
Oh, man.
Well, think about that. And I'm saying this too, guys, because I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah.
And I learned that for myself, so... maybe you're in the process of learning it. Oh, I need to know for myself. Okay, we'll do that. And I'm just letting you know I've already done it, so don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd recommend not to, at least.
Yeah, and that's true. And when that does happen, when you're lacking the liquid confidence, the alcohol to get you going, chances are that's not your crowd. Why are you trembling among your own friends and people you want to be with?
Exactly.
Why are you even there? They're not. Obviously, you're not comfortable. You take away the alcohol, you take away the drugs. Where's your friend group? Are y'all so cool? Are y'all just gonna sit there awkwardly, like, so are we gonna smoke or like, are we gonna drink or like? Y'all really need that? Y'all aren't friends.
Or do I go home now?
Yeah, y'all aren't friends. Go prioritize yourself. Do something.
That's a challenge too, guys.
Drink some water, you nasty.
Drink water. But dang, for real. Like, for a month, guys, if you notice maybe you're indulging a little too much, stop it. Clear cold turkey. Okay, and then tell me if your friends are still there. That's what I want to know.
I
want to know if your friends are still there. Are you still hanging out? Are you still, like, together because you want to be together?
Yeah.
Or are you together because, this drink, this whatever it is, if it's a bad thing, obviously.
Start saying no to that and see if they still invite you out. So see if they still want you out for dinner, or do they just want some alcohol be involved in this situation?
These are things that you can do and ask and test and figure out for your own self.
Yeah, literally. I mean, that's what it should be. Analyze your surroundings, analyze the people that you're with, because then your life is gonna be fucked up if you don't.
Yeah, no.
You're not gonna get where you want to be. Reverse it on them a little bit. Hey, y'all want to go on a little hike?
Yeah.
No, not down for it. Oh my god, I'm tired. Still hungover. LOL, and all this shit. It's like, okay, that's fine. Don't judge. Don't start screaming at them. Don't start texting all this hate shit. Just absorb it. Just pay attention to it. Then ask them somewhere else again.
Yeah.
Hey, found this new restaurant. Looks like a healthy one. Y'all want to go try it out? And see what they say. Bro. Sorry, I don't like salads. I don't like bread.
Yeah, no.
Why don't we go out for some burgers instead and bacon?
I think that's so true, and I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before, but I think it's appropriate for this moment. Right?
Let's hear it.
Do this, and I remember I did this exact thing that I'm telling you. I went to a party sober. I drove there. I'm like saying what's up to people, and they're just offering drinks because they know me for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh no, and he's like, what?
This is odd.
You're not, like very surprising looks. Them saying like, oh yeah, I'm sober tonight. I say casually. Them laughing, literally laughing in my face, saying, sober? No, you're kidding. Like, yeah, exactly. And it's just like,
stop kidding. Here you go, man.
Yeah, and it's just like, what? Like, if anything, it puts perspective into how you seem.
Oh, man.
For me, I'm just like, what do you mean? I just not. But to them, it's just like, they already know you.
That's your identity.
So, guys, that's a line where you can see, that's a test. And, that's an opportunity to show yourself, who you are. Like, who are these people around you? Like, am I just cool with you because, like, I have a little bit to drink?
Yeah. Oh, damn. That's true. Because that's what they associate you with. That's who you are. They like your drunk self, but they despise your sober self. So you need to get some alcohol in you.
Or even that, it's just surprising to even hear you say that you're going to be sober. Like, what? It just doesn't compute in their head that you will, because you've shown that that's not who you are. So it's a thing that you can show yourself something else.
I like that. That's a really good one, actually.
Okay, next one, please.
Next one, number 8. Reflect on the past year. Take time to reflect on the past year and think about what you can learn from it. I agree.
I think that's so true. I mean, a lot of the year for sure. Last year took a lot, man.
Oh man,
good and bad.
Good and bad, man.
But it's good to reflect on it.
It's good to reflect.
Take time to write these things down.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important.
Man, see, and honestly, little sprinkle here. journal, guys, because it feels so good to look back at what your mental state was and what you were actually doing. Then you're like,
man,
then you know
true.
the place where you were doing stuff and where you weren't, and what you're actually doing to fix your situation, your mental health, what you're complaining about, what are the things. So it's just very good to be honest with yourself, and the process of putting thoughts on paper as you write it down forces you to condense this before, because you can't be thinking how you type. You think 1,000 words per minute. You're out here trying to get it all out, and you have all this blabber. But when you write, it's much slower, right? And so you condense this, and then you write how you truly feel, and you get rid of all the little BS, and then you put it down there, and you date it, right? You put the date on there, you put the time, and it feels so good to look back at these things, back at these journal entries, and seeing where you were at and what it is that you were doing. And so these are like basically messages to your future self. Look back and learn at the previous year.
100%.
So yeah, this just reminded me to look back at those journal entries and learn what was I doing wrong. What language was I using?
Yeah, what I was thinking in that moment. One thing too, I think with journaling that you really can't get through text is, obviously their handwriting. Like you're writing, maybe you're just so passionate about whatever you're writing about. You're just like, maybe it's like quicker, maybe it's more, maybe it's a specific word, maybe it's like a way of writing. You feel it. Like for some reason, yourself too still. And like, whoa, I was really feeling this, or whoa, I was actually very sad in this moment.
Yeah.
And like you can tell based on your writing is your language too, and I think that shows it's like a personal connection you have to.
That's very true, because you can literally recognize your pen strokes,
and
see what's going on.
Text,
right
everything looks fine, everything looks the same.
Yeah.
But I think another layer to it too is journaling, and your handwriting specifically adds character, adds a little more emotion, adds more description to whatever it is.
Yeah, wow, that's so true. I didn't even think about that one. That's a good one.
Awesome.
Number 9.
Spend
time with friends and family. Make sure to take the time to connect with friends and family.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very true.
Important.
Spend time with them. Yeah, this year, as much again as the hustle that we've just described, it's also obviously finding what's important outside of just your own goals. You got friends and family around you. Don't just bubble them out and say 100% own in, because then something happens to one or the other, even yourself. You're like, fuck, I wish I would have.
Oh man.
And there you go. That's when it becomes toxic. That's where I'll agree with you. That's when it becomes toxic, when you think you have this lone wolf mentality and you got to shut everyone out and just focus on your goals. It's like, no, it's just, find what you value.
See, I think that's one thing too, like we should emphasize. It's maybe not all hustle always.
No.
I think one thing in the last year that I'm taking to this year is emphasizing to know your season. And I would say this season right now is focus in, get whatever you need done, tying up, emphasize these things. Versus holiday time, I was telling Harvey, know your season, man. This is like family time, hanging out time, giving time, a little less productive time, and that's fine. But know your season. Okay, now what's coming up?
That's a really good point. I'll tell you this funny story, actually. Mario walked into my place.
No.
He looked around, said, man.
He's over exaggerating.
He's like, man, it smells like depression in here.
No, I did not.
No, you said something, though.
I just know Christmas spirit, guys.
Yeah, because he saw, it was Christmas time, right after
time.
Thanksgiving. And he saw no decorations here. Nothing was going on. There was just like nothing that sparked up anything.
Christmas. It was just a Christmas.
And I was just like, yeah, it made me feel like a Grinch. Like I was just here and not doing it. But
you came to that conclusion.
Yes, I did. But what I will say is that what you said, right, was true. I mean, it's true. Like your space is a reflection of your mind. And when you don't appreciate, when you don't try to add a little spice to your life, and you just keep everything the same, you don't realize it. So I felt all the same pressures that I've been feeling throughout the year, all the stresses, all the work, all the hustle, the grind. It just carried itself over into the next month, And then before you knew it, it was Christmas time. I still felt the same thing. But wait, there's no time for any of those things, for family, for friends, for all the stuff. I just got to keep on at it. And then you gave me that comment, and it just kind of snapped me out a little bit. I was like, wait a second. I was like, yeah, there is something going on here. I need to maybe take a little step back. And then honestly, the next few weeks, despite just a few decorations here and there.
That's awesome.
Right? Despite just a little something, the next few weeks, I did actually enjoy the leisure time. I enjoyed sitting on the couch and watching these movies.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it is that time, And so that's when it came to me. That's when it hit me. It's like, oh, I can have hour-long conversations with family or hour-long conversations with friends. It's not a waste of time, It's like, it is like I should at least relish in that and enjoy these moments while they're here.
See, and I think that's a perfect example of like, where you took something and then it immediately started to change, right? You didn't wait until
Yeah.
like, oh, whatever, you were in the
Yeah.
middle of the month and and it started,
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean?
some would say I was almost too late.
Yeah, exactly.
know?
But who the fuck
Yeah,
says we're
exactly.
too late?
Exactly.
And I think that's important. We're emphasizing that, so when we talk about, that balance, there's that
Yeah.
balance.
That's true. It was just fun. It just caught me off guard because I was just like, man.
The thing is, too, I'll
in
say this
here.
too. Even this year for me,
Yeah.
Christmas, I emphasized it. I had a different relationship with the month
Mm.
or with holidays in general.
Mhm.
And I noticed that, and I think I felt that, so I communicated it to you.
Yeah.
Because previously, before it was just like, why does it all feel the same? Like there's no, it doesn't even feel like it's the month of Christmas. Like it's Christmas, oh, just another day. But I think you have a responsibility to make it known that, hey, it's different. Hey, it's time for family. Hey, it's time for this. And I think I learned that, so it wasn't a thing that I've always felt like was a thing that needs to be emphasized. But that's something I'm taking from here and taking it into a new year.
Yeah, see, that's good. And it's funny because I was of the opposite mindset, saying all these holidays, society constructed you to spend more on these days, and they're forcing you to do all this. But instead of seeing it as polar opposites, seeing it as like more of a Venn diagram, there's like some truth to what you're saying, there's truth to what I'm saying, and just realizing both. Because unfortunately, a lot of people do feel the ultimate overwhelming pressure to get and give and receive gifts and all this stuff. And Valentine's Day comes around, like, oh, we have to eat out, we have to spend more money, we have to do this. And then the Black Friday deals, oh, we have to go take advantage of these deals. And so all these holidays kind of have you in this frenzy of spending for some reason those last 4 months of the year, right?
That's true too.
And so I saw that and I was like, yeah, I mean, these are time constructs, but at the same time, they are times that should be relished with family because despite the cold, despite the harsh weathers, at least you can spend some time with the Christmas movies, spend some time making hot chocolate, spending time with family.
Yeah.
Because these are all things that bring us together. Have nice feasts and dinners.
And you know what? That's something different that you just wouldn't do, throughout the year randomly, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it brings in new aspects, different aspects of life. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's an opportunity for that too.
I agree. It forces you out of the sheltering of it, right? Because winter, you think boxed in and just trying to stay warm.
Sad too.
Yeah, little sad things going on. Man, that was... anyway. But, regardless of all that, at least you have something to do within these times, right? Yeah. The friends and family shouldn't disappear just because summer's over. Oh, no more fun.
And that's true too.
And I
think that's what the AI is hitting on.
Yeah, and that's what convinced me. Well, when you said that's what convinced me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, why only summer? Why do we only associate summer with fun? I was like, no, never mind. Or at least me. So yeah, last one, number 10. And I believe the most important one, actually.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
Enjoy the present moment. Take time to appreciate and enjoy the present moment. And that's something I'm learning and carrying over because, again, as much as we're future-based, goal-based, destination and achievement-based, there is something here in the present that's so valuable that once you fully embrace, it's not just you're in a rush. It's not a sprint to get these goals. It's a marathon. You're becoming someone in the process of achieving these goals. And it's about enjoying that process. Every step you take is just intentional. You're looking around at the flowers and the grass, and every step makes a little imprint, and you're getting there. It's like beautiful. You breathe in the fresh air. You feel the sunlight on your skin. It's not just supposed to be running and getting there and hating everything until you get there, and then once you get there, you're happy. It's like there's something in this present moment that's so valuable and that you're becoming, and that you need to embrace and enjoy that present moment.
Yeah, and see, I think that's true too, because you're right. And they talk about too, hitting back on the psyche thing. They talk about how you need to be in the moment sometimes. It's important to be. If I was just consistently thinking about my future goals and not really engaging in anything that you had to say, and I was just in a consistent state of worry about, whoa, am I even going to be able to do anything? Man, you already saw, that's a whole panic-inducing thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm here. I'm having a conversation. Hopefully you take something good away. Hopefully we exchange good topics to talk about. Yeah. And we're in the moment.
We are in the moment.
And that's what's fine too.
That is what's fine. That's what's amazing. Even this for us, it's yes, it's a hobby, but it's also a grounding moment for learning, for expression, for presentness and gratitude, and all these great things. It's literally our thoughts in the form of going through audio right now.
Definitely.
And this is where we're at in life.
I think it's a grounding thing for sure.
It definitely is.
I think it's important to have that.
So yeah, get yourself some hobbies you enjoy. Do them. There's times too though, even with hobbies, where you might not feel like doing it, but like we said earlier, you said you wanted to do it, right? You want to be the person that starts a podcast. You want to be the person that's starts a YouTube channel. Don't just do it when you feel motivated and everything feels right and it's the beginning of the month.
Oh, man, that's true.
Do it because that's what you want to be. If you said that's who you really want to be, and if you really want to be that person, your actions will show it, and what you do every day towards that. We have good. Today's a good day. Today was a good day to record. We did it anyway. But I guarantee you, there's gonna come a day this year where we're not gonna want to, and we're gonna have to show up here anyway and do it.
Yeah,
but once you get that ball rolling and you press the end of the record button, I guarantee you feel good. So it's the same thing. Don't let your mind trick you guys.
Same thing. I think that's pretty much it.
That is it.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great new year.
Great new year.